Good morning, this is Dr. Bill White, again with the American Orthodontic Society, and I'm going to try to pass on a little bit of this knowledge that we've picked up over the years. I've been in the process of trying to teach different orthodontic groups for years now, and I had to learn it the first time to start with. And I kind of grew up with my mother worked for an orthodontist, and he straightened my teeth, and my uncle taught orthodontics at Emory, and so I've kind of come into it from different directions. Anyway, I wanted to show some techniques that have meant an awful lot to me over the years. There's a whole slew of these things, and I started my first orthodontic case back in 1956, and then just went completely into orthodontics in 1970. And from there, we've covered nearly everything we can think about with it. And I did adult orthodontics. I did children's orthodontics to start with. And anyway, I'm going to try to show as much of that as I can to pass it on to different people that are interested in learning orthodontics and doing really crack-up good orthodontics. There are a lot of things happened to me over the years that really meant a lot to me, and I'm going to try to cover some of these. Now, we're using a different type of video here. We're going to just touch on 5 different subjects here, and you can go through we have an internet connection here where you can pull up the video on that particular subject and get all the detail you want. So I'm just not going to try to cover all of the details on this as we go, just some of the essential ones that will make it seem more interesting to you. Now, the first thing that we're going to talk about is the intruding arch. In other words, you get a case where you've got a real deep bite where the upper teeth completely cover up the lower teeth, and you want to open these up. You can put these arch wires on there. In addition, they've got little springs on the back, and this was the first one that happened this way, and it happened back in 1971. We put this stuff on this young man, and thinking he would come back in. I think I saw him once, but his upper teeth closed almost over his lower teeth. And then all of a sudden, he didn't come back in for 6 months. I didn't see this young man. But when he came in, one of the assistants came back and says, "Dr. White, you've got to go look at this guy." When he was in, he could not close his front teeth together. In other words, these 2 little wires right here, well, the upper one was pushing these teeth up, and the lower one was taking these teeth down, and they were working off of the molars back here in the back, and the molars hardly moved at all, but these 2 little wires opened this guy's bite until where there was a gap between his upper and lower front teeth, and he couldn't bite through a hamburger or a sandwich, and so he came back in to see if there's anything that we could do for him. So if you're interested in opening a bite deadly, you can go in and look. We've got videos, several of them on that, and you can find those videos if you wish to. Now, the second type of case, when I started in, I started doing children's dentistry. I had children's orthodontics. I had a slew of kids in my practice, just a lot of them out in a young neighborhood, and there was very little done in the way of interceptive and preventive orthodontics that was coming up. And so I kept working on that, and I had people around me that kind of questioned whether I knew what I was doing, and I couldn't go to them and say them, so I put on a table clinic. And that table clinic is about reducing these baby teeth, and we take the nerves out of them. We do pulpotomies on them, and watch what this will do. Just give nature a chance, and if the child is breathing correctly, using their tongue correctly, swallowing properly, keeping their lips together, they push their teeth up against the lip structure, and that lines them up, especially the flat teeth. It does a good job. Now, when you get a round tooth, they don't turn around very easily. But we started this years ago, and I've done a few thousand, I think, pulpotomies on these baby teeth. And once you do that, the tooth is dead. You go back and trim it a little bit more so they don't feel anything. And we take a long tapered diamond and go in and take the pulp out of the tooth, or we can do it with a long tapered carbide burr and take it out, and then we pack zinc oxide Neutronol in there. I mean, pack it in, and we mix it so thick you can pack it like amalgam. And that's the way we close these up. And I've done thousands of teeth like that, and honest to God, I've never had one go bad, and we only do it on vital teeth. We do not take an abscess tooth and try to do that. And you can cut the whole crown off of this and leave the root, and that keeps the bone structure lined up in here. And I've got a video that covers this completely, so you can look it up if you wish to. In fact, I hope you do. I'm going to move on now to another subject, and we've got what we call an intruding arch. That's similar to what we had in the first time they put this intruding arch, and these teeth were down here somewhere, and it picks these up and it takes these down and it works off of these molars. But we use these bonded blocks. These are acrylic blocks in here, and that hammers these teeth down till they don't move at all. In other words, you can now open the bite, the dental bite of a person. As you open it up, normally you'd think you put pressure here, this pushes this down, and whenever it comes down, this goes up, then this will increase the vertical height of the lower third of the face, and that's not what we want. But you can put these blocks back in the back of the mouth, and they will keep the teeth down and even reduce the vertical height of the face some while you're intruding the upper and lower anterior teeth in doing that. So if you're interested, I've got lots of cases on this, and I'll show that in detail. So I hope you go to it and learn something from this. Now, I'm so grateful for this video world that we live in. I wanted to write this in the book, but I could never have written down what you can see and say in these videos. So anyway, this is showing the use of these blocks. And this is the type of block we would use to close the space down right there. So I'm going to move on here to another subject. Now this subject is kids that get ectopically erupting teeth. And if you don't do something with this ectopically erupting tooth, and this probably came in the mouth when this young person was about 6 or 7 years old, somewhere in there, and this permanent 6-year molar is leaning like that, and it comes up under this baby tooth and eats the root of the tooth away. The tooth is still vital. This tooth, the cells absorbing the deciduous root don't kill the nerve in the tooth. They just absorb it and take it away. Now, if you don't do anything, this tooth will end up over here somewhere like that. You'll lose this whole thing, and this bicuspid has no place to go. I mean, it really screws the case up. So, you can't sit around and wait till everybody's 12 or 14 and come in and start this. If you get this tooth up here, then you've got to back this whole thing up, the second molar, and then the wisdom tooth to make room for the bicuspid, or else you're going to have to sacrifice some teeth in there to do it. So try this. Boy, it works like a charm. And all you had to do is see we just bonded a little thing on here. You come in and make a deal like this, and then you come out here and this comes over. You bond something on these teeth. You raise this up, hook it over this, and that takes this tooth and moves it out and back like this shows right here. Anyway, I've got a bunch of cases that we've done this, and you can learn how to do it, and that's an essential in early treatment of these cases. Now you put this little hook right here, and as this tooth backed out, you see, if this point right here would be up here somewhere, and as it does, this hook or spring slides back. Go get the video and you can see the thing in detail, how it actually works. And I've never found a tooth that I couldn't upright like that. If it's ankylosed, you go in and loosen the tooth up a little bit, and then you can bring it up. Now this does not put a tremendous load on this tooth right here. It started out over this one and then ended up on this tooth right here. It keeps that. But if you try to prise this tooth back this way and work off of this one here with some kind of spring, you will lose this tooth right here. And if you lose it, this is going to go in, or you're going to have a space maintainer problem for the whole time during the case. So anyway, we hope that you'll look into that. I have never found a tooth that was tilted over that we couldn't upright that tooth. And we can upright it and bring it forward, or we can upright it and just use the gap in there to restore the tooth, or you can move it in there any way you want to. Okay, that's the what we call an ectopic eruption of 6-year molars. That's number 4. Now we'll go to another one is a missing lower second bicuspids. This is one of the neatest tricks you can find in orthodontics. We call it driftodontics. In other words, we did nothing but reduce the teeth down, and the tooth drifted into that position. Now I'm going to have to show several x-rays. This is the, I think this is the first one right here. We go in and the tooth is missing here, so we cut this deciduous molar in half. We take out the back half of the molar right here, and we do a pulpotomy on this front part. And the problem in this case is that this person that did the packing of the tooth didn't know what they were doing. It was an old surgeon, but he had never done anything like that. And so the tooth kind of blew up on him a little bit, but it still worked just as good. And now this is number 5, and we took this tooth out, and now the 6-year molar, which is sitting back here, if you had extracted this tooth would come down in space, and this tooth wouldn't come up. But we left this front half of that tooth, and it holds this tooth up, and this tooth can drift underneath here. And that's what happens here. See the 6-year molar drifts into this place. This drains out here. Sorry that the old surgeon or whoever put this in didn't really learn how to pack a mount. This zinc oxide, we mix it so thick you can pack it just like you would a amalgam. Okay, then the 6-year molar drifts over here. Now the 6-year molar holds its own tooth up in this area right here, and as it does, this comes in and it holds that tooth in place. And now we pull the front half of this tooth out. In other words, we're going to take all this out of here, and now the 6-year molar will drift all the rest of the way. And so here this 6-year molar is, it's moved from way back here up till it's right up against this bicuspid, right in that area where the tooth is missing. And we have never touched it with any orthodontic appliance. That's why I called it just driftodontics. But you watch the time on something like this. It'll take a while for them to drift in. So this tooth holds the tooth up above it, and now you take this part out, and this thing moves in the rest of the way, and the tooth will line up almost perfect in there. So these are 5 different things that I've shown in this, and we're going to try to go through each one of these things. We have videos on that and maybe several other videos covering in detail every little part of this. I want to make it so that people can do real proper orthodontics wherever you are. And I have no way of telling who I'm talking to right now. It may go all over the world. In fact, the video does. And we have people that write in and ask questions about things. And I'm an old man now. Some of them say, well, I'd like to get you to do this, but I don't have any more work left in me. And I'm 94 years old now, and I hope I'll be able to cover all of this material before I have to shut her down. But I want to thank each of you for coming in and listening to this, and I hope you'll keep up with it. We're going to go back and try to cover 5 cases on every one as we go along. So I'm going to say goodbye and hope you'll listen to our group and join our the whole thing, this jointed. We would love to have you. So I'm going to hang up now and say goodbye.